Come on back.
Hey! All right.
You guys were so stressed out about that. Was easy.
I'm so glad to be done with shit like this.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video we wanted to go over how we took the van from looking like the true DIY project that it is to our dream overlanding rig complete with a real roof, not looking as homemade as it actually is. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. We've been building our dream van on an E350 for about 2 years now. We've built everything from the subframe to the exoskeleton, gotten the walls in, the floor in, and we wanted to make a video on how we designed and fabricated our roof, as well as the story that went along with why our van was topless for 6 months. So last year we were living in California and we had our U-joint 4x4 conversion scheduled for July, and we're also planning on moving out of California at the same time. So when we initially booked our U-joint conversion, we had planned on having the entire box done, meaning the floor would be in, the walls would be in, and the roof would be on, in addition to the pop top being completely finished. Unfortunately, we were way too overly confident, and by the time July rolled around, we barely got the walls and the floor in. I mean, like, we got them in within the last 2 weeks of us living in California. And although from the ground the van did look complete and like it was real and done, from the inside it basically just looked like an empty hot tub with wheels. So we realized that we were going to have to drive all the way from California to Colorado in our van, which we also hadn't really driven before. It had like maybe 50 miles on it. We were going to have to drive it without a roof. So the plan that we landed on for actually attaching the roof temporarily to the van was to take one ratchet strap and just wrap it all the way around the body, and then to take 2 ratchet straps and connect them to the roof rack on the front and then all the way back to the spare tire. Also, to add on to the jankiness that was our van at that time, we had taken off the front bumper because we ended up needing to replace the body mounts on the cab, and figured that once we took it off, we were just gonna have to put it back on to drive it to Colorado for U-joint to take it off and get rid of it anyway, so we decided to leave it off. And this is what our van looked like. So after driving from California to Colorado with the roof ratchet strapped on, this is what the van looked like once U-joint was done with her. Really, really cool, looked a lot more menacing and a lot more legit, but it still did look pretty homemade with the ratchet straps giving us away. And then additionally, we weren't done with the driving and the roof ratchet strapped on. We still had to drive the van from Colorado to Washington. All in all, we drove about 2,500 miles with the roof ratchet strapped on. It is not something that I would recommend. There were quite a few times that it literally started lifting off of the van and we could just feel the air coming through by putting our hands up. So I'm glad that it worked out in the end, that we were able to get it from A to B to C. However, I would not recommend it, and I'm very, very glad that the van is not topless anymore and has a roof on. Once we got to Washington, we did realize that the van was going to have trouble fitting into the garage. We were able to fit into the taller garage bay without a roof, but we knew that once the roof was fabricated and on, we were going to have to figure something out, and we're like, that's just going to be a problem for future us. It was a problem. It did turn out to be a problem, but we'll get into that later. And the first step of actually fabricating the roof was first removing it from the van. The panel by itself was only about 100 pounds, so it wasn't too hard for the two of us to get it off. It was just really high up. So the first step of actually assembling our roof meant just doing the same process of cleaning, sanding, cleaning on both the aluminum and the panel, and then taking our spacer tape, applying that, laying down the glue bead, and then just flipping it over and putting it onto the panel. It was really, really easy, very low stress. We just ended up clamping it to make sure we were getting really good adhesion. And then once that dried, we took the whole thing and flipped it upside down. Once it was upside down, we took the 3 panel pieces that we'd cut to fit into that single rabbet joint and just did a test fit. This picture also shows the angle that we wanted to get on the front edge. The Ford Bodybuilder's book was adamant about the importance of having a radiused edge on the front for aerodynamics. So what we decided to do was to have just a 45-degree angle, not just for aerodynamics, but also for looks. But this is how it looked during our test fitting, and once we made sure that everything was laying and landing where it should, we were ready to do our final glue up. This went about the same as everything else, just the same cleaning, sanding, cleaning of the aluminum and the panel, laying down our spacer tape, and then laying down the glue bead. The great thing about this glue up was that by this point we actually knew what we were doing, whereas gluing in the floor was our first time doing any of these steps, so it was a lot more stressful and it was also a little bit more consequential, whereas this was just smaller pieces and there was much less of a rush. Once we'd glued in the 3 side pieces, we were ready to move on to the front piece. We essentially just took our piece of panel, we clamped it onto the 2 pieces next to it, took our 45-degree aluminum angle piece that was going to make up the front angle of our roof, and then glued that on. The funny thing about our roof is that it was just a smaller version of our box, and in the future, if we were to do this again, we would not make the roof like we did. We would just make the box at the height that we needed instead of banking on that extra height from the roof. Although we didn't know it at the time, we weren't going to end up doing the pop-top design that we initially planned on doing, which was based on CCV's design. How that mechanism works is that it requires the roof being 3D, not just a flat piece of panel, so that there's space for all of those components to actually fit in and collapse. Later on, once we actually put that design together and realized it wasn't going to work, we switched designs, and the design that we have now would have worked with a flat roof, which means that we wouldn't have had to do any of this work. Again, at the time, we didn't know that, but in the future, we would not make a roof like this. It would just be a flat panel. It wouldn't have required all these extra steps. But the bonus point of doing the roof this way meant that we did get our 45-degree angle, which we wouldn't have gotten with just a flat piece. Once the glue up was complete, we measured the diagonals and they were within a 32nd of each other, which is significantly more square than the box is, mainly because this glue up went more smoothly, but also just because we finally knew what we were doing. This is also why we've said we would recommend not welding together an exoskeleton and then trying to fit panels in. In the future, we would just assemble the box with the panels, then the extrusion, and then welded corner caps just to tie in all of the joints together. After the box was all glued up, Kevin got to working on these corner caps. I really loved these pieces. I thought they were really beautiful. His welds just kept getting better and better. He learned to weld for this project also. This is not a skill that he had before we started the van, and it's really, really impressive to see how quickly he improved and the fact that he was able to get beads like this. Do people say beads?
Stacking dimes.
Yeah, especially this one. He was stacking dimes for sure.
You have to add a little caption that says welding community roasting coming.
So then once we took the roof and flipped it back again, we just glued these corner caps on, and this is how it looked once everything was glued together. Once the roof was completely assembled, we got ready to do our final paint. This was different from how we put the box together, because how we did the box was to have the exoskeleton and then paint the exoskeleton and then fit the panels in. So we basically did the reverse here, and this is how it looked after painting. It was really, really satisfying to pull off all those pieces of tape and see how clean the paint went on. Since gluing the box together, we've realized that the caulk lines do attract dirt, and although the glue has UV stabilizers in it, it's not a bad idea to have an extra layer of protectant on it, and it ended up looking really, really clean as well. So in addition to this being our last big glue up, this was also our last big painting session, and as you can see, I was pretty excited. I was really happy to be done painting. To be totally honest, out of all the things that we've had to do, painting has been one of the worst things ever. After painting, the only thing to do was to actually attach the roof. So before we put the roof on, we went on one of our last topless joyrides. I can't explain how much fun it was driving around in the van, just standing up and feeling the wind on your face. I also wanted to mention that there were a lot of engineering decisions that we made based around the lack of rigidity of the box without the roof panel being permanently attached or just as one piece with the box. Yes, it would have been a lot easier to not have a pop top for many, many reasons, but I'm still really glad that we committed to the decisions that we did. So once we went on our last topless joyride, the first step of actually getting our roof onto the box was renting a little U-Haul trailer so that we could just drive it over to our neighbor's house because they graciously offered their very tall garage for this project. My dad then made a wooden cradle to hold the roof from underneath that we could also attach the ropes to. We were very, very grateful to have the help from my parents and uncle to get this part of the project done. We tied ropes to the cradle so that we could lift the roof from a central point and lift it as flat as possible the whole way up with the pulley system and a drill winch. Unfortunately, the best point to attach the pulley was also the best place for them to put their garage opener, so we had to very sketchily attach the pulley to the garage opener bracket and keep a very close eye on it. We used a handheld drill winch to raise the roof. It's also worth noting that at this point, the whole roof weighed about 150 pounds. Unfortunately, the first way that we attached it didn't work because there was too much stretch in the ropes, and we realized that we wouldn't be able to lift the roof high enough to actually drive the van underneath like we planned. This process also took the entire day, and we had to take several food and water breaks. It's fun watching the videos back because it makes it look like we had it all figured out. In reality, we did not. It took a lot of going up, going down, hoping that neither roof would fall. Once we did lift the roof as high as we needed to, we were able to back the van underneath it and place it right where we wanted it to be. After we placed the roof exactly where we wanted it and centered it on the box, we used a 3D printed jig to locate the position to drill the holes and bolt it to the 4 linear actuators in the 4 corners of the box before driving it back to our garage. So that little problem that I mentioned earlier about the van barely fitting into the tall garage door without the roof panel, yeah, that came back to bite us in the butts. And the plan that we ended up thinking of, which was actually a plan that we'd already had to do when we were living in California, was just to put the van on rims and drive it in and out of the garage that way. Even on rims, we just barely fit. I think when we measured, we had less than 2 inches of space. So using the rims worked really well, but it also made it a huge pain in the ass to bring it in and out of the garage whenever we wanted to. The actual process of putting the van on rims, though, was incredibly sketchy because of the height difference between the tires and the rims. So using 2 jacks, we had some pretty close calls. It was fun to make funny videos about it, but in the moments when we were having to switch it back and forth between tires and rims, we were really, really scared that something would go wrong, and we're very thankful that it didn't. But this is just kind of the crap that you deal with when you're doing a real DIY project. There's a lot of very janky, sketchy things that we've had to do. Ideally, we would have had a forklift or a gantry crane to just lift the roof up and place it on, but no, we just had a U-Haul trailer and a drill winch and some ingenuity. And I think that false confidence also gets you really, really far. Another thing to note about doing a big DIY project like this is that the majority of the problems that you're running into are actually problems that you yourself created just a few months prior. All in all, I was really happy with how the roof went, and I'm really proud of us for getting it on there and for driving it 2,500 miles without a roof in the first place. Like I said before, if you're interested in our pop-top mechanism or just hearing more about how the roof is actually attached to the box, we've made a whole video about it. We also recently released a video on our electrical system, and we're really, really excited to start showing more of our design elements on the inside, like our kitchen design, our plumbing system, and more. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.